Next, we have Fidel García-Guzmán, CEO of Guzmán Global, a family-owned business based in Valencia, Spain, that distributes raw materials for different industries. The three business units are plastics and rubber, minerals, and coffee and nuts. They are a member of 200 people with subsidiaries in Portugal, Italy, and Turkey, and sales of 320 million euros in over 50 countries. Fidel has a degree in economics from the University of Valencia and an MBA at the IECO Business School in Barcelona. Previously, he has worked for Polimerol and Guzman company, and I'll also say that he's a member of the board of directors of the Zircon Industry Association and also a professor at the Masters in Business Strategy at the University of Valencia. Welcome, Fidel. Yeah.
Thank you, Danilo. And thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to be here. I'm impressed and honored being surrounded by such a group of panelists. I didn't have the chance either to meet Michael, but I've also gone through his work and read some of his papers, and well, I would like to join Jim's words. Okay, so I think it's very nice that we're doing this tribute to him today. Well, I'm trying to answer to Danilo's question through our own experience and view about the topic. Okay, so please frame it in the sense of 200 people company that I'm trying to answer to this question to, okay? Basically, I would like to talk about three things, which is what came to my mind first when Danilo and Manuel sent the question to us. The importance of short versus long-term approach to business, the importance of the alignment between the stakeholder interests in a company, which is something that has been already talked about. And then why I believe family businesses, which always try to look into the future towards the next generation, are probably good models to follow in order to find those answers that we are trying to find today, okay? So I will summarize by saying that all these three ideas or topics get a proper balance when you have a real purpose, okay, and when you communicate it properly and you constantly act and behave according to that purpose. So to start with the short versus long-term approach, well, we all live in this crazy world where time pressure is huge because of digitalization, because of globalization, because of, well, just the world we live in, okay? Jim is a good example of a person linked to listed companies, okay, and great big corporations. Well, quarterly results are also a reality in a family-owned business. It's not only linked to these big companies, okay, but my opinion is that when you create a company, when my grandfather started 80 years ago, well, he created the company for the long run, okay? He created the company basically forever. So why should we look at the quarterly results all the time when the purpose of a company is to last forever, okay? Then, of course, you have the analysts and the stock exchange, and there is always a temptation to please them by sending the proper messages in a press conference or in an analyst conference. And, well, this is something that I believe is a temptation also for well, persons like me, okay? I am the CEO of our company, and I also report to the board, okay? So you always want to give also good news, but this is not always possible. In our mission statement, we say that we want to grow sustainably and to provide an excellent and innovative service to the industries we serve. I would like to focus on the word sustainably, because we all understand the need to grow, okay? Every single company has this aim, especially because of the time pressure and the world we live today on. But why sustainably? Well, from our perspective, because, well, we need to be sensitive also to our own resources, okay? The equity built over 3 generations, over 80 years, of course also paying dividends to the shareholders. But, well, if these are our resources and we want to balance properly the risk we are assuming, well, you have to pay attention also to the equity to debt ratio, which is something we are very, very conscious about. We could have grown faster. We could be not a 300 million euro company, but maybe a bigger one. But hey, we're here 80 years later, and that's what we feel proud about. I get this question quite often, okay? Don't you believe that you could be less conservative, that you could maybe leverage a bit more the company? And I say, yes, probably. And maybe we would have grown more, and maybe we would not be here. But still, I always answer the same. That's why we are 80 years later here, okay? It's also a matter of sustainability to balance properly our ability to grow, okay? So we have a certain number of employees, and we want to make a proper transfer of knowledge and culture and ways of doing. We're going to talk about values, and we're going to talk about virtues, which are basically different things. But it's important to make this proper transfer of knowledge to our people. We feel very proud of what we call the Guzman style of doing things. And when we talk with our suppliers, principals, okay, we are distributors, so we represent the interest of third parties. We really like when they say, hey, we want you to do this in other parts of the world. That's how we entered into Italy, okay? We were granted the opportunity to replicate our business model there. And that's a matter of trust also. And then, of course, sustainability also in the sense of minimizing your risks, okay? We work with credit insurance because if we don't get bill paid, then it's a big issue for us, okay? Our margins are very small because we are distributors, and we need to be very sensible to this. So how do you align all these interests, okay? I'm talking about equity, so that this is basically the shareholders. I'm talking about our ability to do it, so this is basically our people, our management, our employees. And then we are talking about minimizing risks towards payments or receivables and so on. So we're talking about also suppliers and customers. Well, I believe you do this by aligning the interest of the different shareholders. Of course, our management, we rely on professionals running the business. So our managers also have goals and have targets, and somehow you need to place these incentives, be it quarterly, be it annually, maybe long-term goals also, 3 to 5 years maybe. But it's very difficult to avoid this self-seeking that Danilo was talking about, no, in the question. Because sometimes you have this temptation, okay, to make your numbers, to make your goals, and that's very tough. When we go to the upper level, okay, so to the shareholders and the board, well, in a family-owned business, it's easier because most shareholders are somehow represented at the board. And, well, that courage or challenge that Dawn-Marie was talking about, sometimes it's easier, okay, when a shareholder is not agreeing with certain steps or certain moves of the company, they'll probably say no very fast, okay? So in our case, it's a bit simpler in that sense. But then, of course, you also have the customers and the suppliers. And here, we also have several examples of, let's say, behaviors that could be considered non-purely ethical, okay? Very recently, I received a phone call from a supplier which is about to merge with another big company. And his request was, hey, we have these inventories on a consignment base. Would you mind if we invoice them to you, and then we'll give you a longer payment term just to compensate for the working capital and so on? Well, it's not truly unethical, but at the end, it's a matter of what is the goal of this person, what is the target for the company and its shareholders, which is to present these nice numbers when the merge is announced. And, well, this raises plenty of concerns in our minds when saying yes or no, okay? Then we also have customers which don't want to pay the VAT, okay, or they want a gift or somehow a compensation. And, you know, talking to your managers and explaining properly what is the behavior you expect is very important. So to end up with the third topic, which is the family businesses, okay? Well, when you talk about the next generation, you're talking about the next 30 to 40 years, okay? So as compared to the quarterly results, to the yearly results, 30 to 40 years seems just impossible to set goals or targets to that long term. But that's a reality. And I'm not talking about the family member or the family running the business, okay? Because here I differentiate properly management from governance, from shareholding. I'm generally speaking about, see, I have 3 daughters, and I always say that they will never work with daddy, okay? They ask me, and I say, no, that will not happen, okay? Because I'd rather have you being a good board member or a responsible shareholder. So when talking about these 30 to 40 years, I'm not only talking about the management itself, okay? I'm talking about the whole stakeholders. And I'm already saying this to my kids, okay, which are still 13 and 11 years old, okay? What is, at the end, what are we trying to do? How are we trying to explain this to our team, to our kids also? Well, through our values, okay, and also through those virtues that I believe Bill will explain much better than me afterwards. These ways of doing are deeply rooted in our people, okay, and it's a matter of the time you spend with them behaving and acting properly so they can somehow assimilate those ways of doing. When we started in Italy and Turkey, I spent plenty of time there, so because it was very important for me, for them, to know how we do things, okay? And that's, to finalize and summarize, that's why the purpose is so important, okay? And that's why you need to make this very clear statement. You need to explain it all the time. You need to say it, you need to write it down, okay? It's not just enough to put it in a nice presentation, okay? We are a member of the Global Compact of the United Nations for many years already. We have our code of conduct since 1916. We started becoming a sponsor of the Chair for Business Ethics last year. We just launched this year a big corporate social responsibility program in the company, but it's not enough. I mean, you need to remind it permanently. You need to train your people and then ask whether they really got the message and whether they really understood what the purpose is. And of course, you need to act in an exemplary way, okay? You need to really believe it and practice it. So, well, I would not really agree with Jim when he said that maybe Harvard is not doing things right, in the sense that I am attending now an executive education program at Harvard Business School, and the professor, which is always giving the opening session and the closing session, which is Anand Raman, he always says that we are here, entrepreneurs, businessmen, to do a decent profit decently, okay? And I really like this sentence. And, well, I believe that's why we're here 80 years later, and I believe that's what really gives a meaning and an answer to the question you asked. Thank you.